IGA supermarkets across our region say it's time.
It's time.
Time to shop locally at IGA.
Shop where you help support local manufacturers like Paul's, Hazeldene's, Tip Top.
Love the deli.
Shop knowing that when you sit down to dinner, lunch, a snack, you're keeping your dollar local.
Shop where your local supermarket supports your community.
It's our price match. Fresh produce. Market days.
Huge meat sales.
It's time.
It's time to shop locally at IGA.
Across Gippsland, this is Win News.
Tonight, Tarralgon commuters slugged more to take a direct train to Melbourne. A warning as school zones come back into force across Gippsland. And parents urged to take their kids to swimming lessons to prevent tragedy. Good evening, I'm Bruce Roberts. Welcome to Win News this Wednesday. Also tonight, more Aussie products return to local hands. The Latrobe Valley's public transport ticketing system has been reported to the Ombudsman. Amid reports it's unfair. Tarralgon commuters remain dumbfounded. A direct trip to Melbourne can cost $7 more than an indirect route.
It's $36 a week cheaper to tap on and off at Warragul than it is to go directly to Southern Cross.
That makes absolutely no logical sense, and I'm now calling upon not only the Government of Public Transport Victoria, but the Public Transport Ombudsman to finally fix these pricing issues.
Tarralgon, Moe and Morwell are separate Mikey zones despite all being along the Gippsland line and making up a similar area to other regional centres.
There are a number of price anomalies that relate to seniors, students and full fare paying customers. All I'm calling for is equity with other major regional centres. It's just unfair and unjust.
An unfair system leaving commuters out of pocket.
You shouldn't be disadvantaged by using a direct service.
The state government says ticketing systems are tailored to locations and best value for money. And at this point, the Victoria Pass is the cheapest option for students.
We're working really hard across the Department of Transport and with the regions to determine the best way to provide value for money, including through student passes.
The Department of Transport offers a range of student and concession passes and says Latrobe Valley has Mikey and non-Mikey options.
Public Transport Victoria was contacted for comment. Liz Mackley, Win News.
6 people lost their lives on Victorian roads this unofficial Australia Day long weekend. Police targeted drunk, drugged and speeding drivers as well as those using phones and say the safety message is still not getting through.
Almost 3,900 traffic offences were recorded during the 5-day safety blitz. 130 drunk drivers and 136 under the influence of drugs were nabbed.
All available resources were on the road. They were targeting speed, fatigue, distraction, alcohol offences.
Sadly, 6 people were killed over the unofficial long weekend. Police say they continue to see drivers and passengers not wearing seatbelts. Excessive speed's also an ongoing issue, as is dangerous driving in parts of regional Victoria.
We saw a vehicle overtake an unmarked police vehicle at 137 kilometres per hour. Just not acceptable at all at any speed.
Buckling up and slowing down could be the difference between life and death. Police say using a mobile phone while behind the wheel continues to be an ingrained behaviour in some drivers, with 104 people caught over the 5-day period. And for those planning on undertaking more long-distance driving this summer, authorities are urging those behind the wheel to remain vigilant.
Plan your drive to make sure leave yourself plenty of time to get home, to make sure you share the driving where you can and arrive home safely.
Bonnie Barkmeyer, Win News.
Rural health bodies are calling for regional Aussies to be prioritised for COVID vaccination. It comes as the federal government launched its vaccine advertisements today ahead of next month's first phase of the rollout.
A message we're set to hear a lot more.
COVID-19 has changed our lives. For us to live more freely, we need the added protection of COVID-19 vaccines.
The government's launched a series of ads ahead of next month's rollout, encouraging people to get vaccinated. And rural health bodies want regional Australians to be considered for an early jab, alongside health workers and those in the aged care industry.
People in rural, regional and remote communities have poorer health outcomes. So if they were to, so that makes them more susceptible to getting COVID-19.
The Alliance is worried health services in the regions will be stretched with doctors busy administering the vaccine.
And we could just get ourselves into a situation where there's just not enough GPs to go around.
Other health bodies agree how it's rolled out will be critical.
This is part of the focus on making sure that regional Australians are part of that targeted and coordinated approach.
Some are just happy to let the health experts decide when.
It doesn't really faze me who gets it first.
The rollout, however the government sees fit.
Once the timing around who will get vaccinated when is figured out, the challenge will then be how to effectively get access to it, and it's set to be more difficult for people living in rural areas.
It's where we're talking about distance, we're talking around time and small populations.
Will Hogan, Win News.
School speed zones are back as students return to class this week. Police are warning drivers to be extra cautious around schools, with thousands of new pupils crossing unfamiliar roads.
An urgent warning for drivers as some of our youngest locals head back to the classroom.
Of course, school's back this week for 2021. So we're just asking motorists now to remember that school zones, speed zones will be in force as of this week.
School zones are back in force from today. Speed limits will be reduced to 40 kilometres during drop-off and pick-up times.
School kids have been identified as one of our most vulnerable road users. Pedestrian safety around schools is a huge priority for us.
Last financial year, we did still see 35 pedestrians aged 17 and under seriously injured. So whilst we've been great at keeping people alive, we are still seeing some people get injured.
And already there's been too much tragedy on our roads.
This year we've had 12 people killed across the state, but 5 of those have been regionally based.
And when it comes to kids, experts say parents are the best role models.
They learn from us, they'll mimic the things we do, so if you're out with your kids, cross at the crossings and make sure you teach them to look left and right, and also it's important that they listen.
Most students will return to school tomorrow. Ruby Cairns, Win News.
And parents are being urged to enrol their kids in swimming lessons with a spate of recent drownings. A timely reminder of just how dangerous the water can be. Experts say it's crucial kids have the necessary skills to look after themselves.
Diving back into the water safely.
What's your favourite thing about swimming? Having lots of fun.
After thousands of kids missed out on swimming lessons over the last year, experts are urging parents to make sure children have the life-saving skills they need before they get in the water.
Their survival skills for when they say they fell in when no one was there with them. And it also works on technique, breathing and just to be safe when in the water.
Since July 1, there's been 42 reported fatal drownings in Victoria, 15 more than the 5-year average. It's prompted concern some swimmers aren't as competent as they should be.
We only had such a limited number of lessons when we could reopen late into 2020, and we really did see a change in kids' swimming abilities through that time because they weren't getting that weekly getting in and having some fun in the pool.
Parents understand the importance of lessons.
They've been swimming lessons since they were 2. And look, it gives them confidence in the water, the ability to know when they're in danger. So yeah, it's very important.
And while children are learning to swim, it's recommended a guardian over 16 years old who's also a competent swimmer around, just in case something happens.
Children under 5 must have an adult within arm's reach, adult over 16, and children under 10 must be actively supervised.
It's a bit of fun for the kids as well.
I like doing backstroke.
Ruby Cairns, Win News.
When we return tonight, a warning about the dangers of drinking too much alcohol in the sun and pupils with bad pupils. Parents urged to get kids' eyes tested before heading back to class. The ink has dried on Bega Cheese's acquisition of Lion Dairy and Drinks. The deal announced in November sees brands such as Masters, Big M and Pura change hands.
Bega Cheese hopes that Australians are as thrilled as we are that brands that they have grown up with, such as Masters, Farmers Union Iced Coffee and Big M, are returning to Australian ownership.
Bega Cheese made the acquisition for $530 million. The executive chair says the new products are in line with its brand.
Dairy Farmers and Farmers Union were founded before Federation, some 120 years ago, and there are some dairy farming families that have supplied dairy farmers for that entire period of time.
The deal comes as Bega Cheese expands its manufacturing sites. Hundreds of Victorian childcare providers are failing to meet safety standards, with more than one shut down a week or censured for failings in their care of children. Kids have escaped from care, been disciplined inappropriately, denied their dignity and housed in unsafe premises. The centre in Shepparton received a warning for failing to maintain the rights and dignity of a child. Meantime, locally at the Gippsland Lakes and Warrigal, centres received a warning and were given conditions they had to meet to continue operating. Optometrists are reporting a rise in kids with eye issues thanks to spending more time on devices during the pandemic. With school back this week, they're urging parents to prioritise eye health and book a test.
Danielle Langling suspected her daughter might have been having issues with her vision, and when she started school, it was confirmed.
Her teachers actually said something, so I thought, why not? Something easy and get it checked, and yeah.
A quick eye test revealed she was having trouble focusing at short distances.
What you see there for me?
Flower.
Good on you.
So she couldn't see things close to her. So it was good to see once she had the glasses, she could read so much better than we thought.
New figures show more than 55,000 children in the Illawarra may have missed an eye test last year and could have undiagnosed vision problems.
Because of the COVID, they've been spending a lot more time indoors and at home. And we've actually seen a prevalence of myopia increase, which is short-sightedness increase.
Some parents assume their children's eyesight is fine, or they think it's not possible to test a young child. But many optometrists can assess children from as young as 1 year old.
It makes a big difference. So earlier we see the child, if they do have a problem, we can definitely address it. So if there is a turn or if there's a lazy eye, we can treat it.
Most eye tests are covered by Medicare. Katie Gallagher, Win News.
Aussies enjoying a drink outdoors are being reminded to slip, slop, slap. Experts warn consuming alcohol can increase your risk of sunburn, as well as a range of other health issues.
With more Aussies making the most of the sunshine, experts are warning us not to get complacent about sun cream.
You become less conscious of the fact that the sun's there, and you're probably more concerned about having another drink rather than thinking that you're frying under the sun.
The Drug and Alcohol Foundation's among several organisations warning people to slip, slop, slap before they crack open a beer in the sun.
There's some research indicating that people are more likely to get sunburn when they're drinking alcohol. And that's just because the body's and the skin's ability to manage the UV light is reduced.
We're also urged to avoid drinking more than 4 drinks a day and 10 a week.
Hydrate before they start drinking, and if they can, drink water whilst they're drinking alcohol, and just keeping out of the sun as much as they can.
There are also other risks associated with increased alcohol consumption.
Be it indoors or outdoors, that they're more likely to get into trouble, have accidents.
With the potential to become a much bigger issue.
Most alcohol problems could be formed from a pretty basic and benign habit, but over time they continue to something that's more problematic.
Especially among young people.
I think it's easy to get, easy to drink, it's more sociable.
Liz Mackley, Win News.
For almost half his life, John Blom has been courtside umpiring some of the world's greatest tennis matches. Currently officiating the regional UTR Pro Tour, he's now gearing up to take his seat in the chair at this year's Aussie Open.
From Bendigo to Bukhara, when John Blom started umpiring, he had no idea it would lead to a career officiating on the world stage.
By volunteering to work as a chair umpire at smaller tournaments, and that kind of snowballed into a career.
With a string of Grand Slams under his belt, John's officiated 2 Australian Open finals and worked at Wimbledon more than 15 times. This year he'll once again be courtside at the Oz Open.
Any event that goes ahead, in sports across the world, I think it's helped people get back to normal, hasn't it?
No stranger to player outbursts, being clear and concise is essential in his high-pressure job.
A lot of people think that having great eyesight is the most important thing for an umpire, but I think everybody has good eyesight at this level. I think the best thing is, can you communicate well and can you concentrate for long periods?
Having umpired some of the biggest names in tennis, John says Bendigo's UTR Pro Tour provides a great training ground for players and officials.
Mark Polmans is a very impressive player. He's got a great temperament, and if you watch him play, you think, well, you can't go wrong if you have all the shots and you have a good temperament like he has.
And for those dreaming of a career in the umpire's chair, the advice is simple.
Any experience is good experience, so work as many matches as you can, because you learn something every time you get up in the umpire's chair.
Grace Aiken, Win News.
And let's continue that sporting theme this Wednesday and hear from Steph Atkins. And Steph, the action continues on the court at the UTR Pro.
It certainly does, Bruce. Regional tennis players are still hitting it out to make the finals, and the winners in the National Beach Volleyball Championships on the Murray. Welcome back. More than 1,500 kilometres south of Surfers Paradise, the best beach volleyballers in the country were treated to a different landscape this week. The national tour returned to the banks of the mighty Murray to fight it out for gold.
There was plenty of elite action at Cobram's picturesque Thompson's Beach today.
There's not many places around Australia that you can see koala sitting in the tree, kangaroos bouncing by, and also playing some beach volleyball. It's brilliant.
Athletes played for gold medal honours on the banks of the mighty Murray River, a bit different to Bondi.
Sounds a bit deeper and it's a bit wet a lot of the time, but it's nice here, so it's quite good.
And the week's thrown up its challenges, competitors forced to battle the elements as well as the opponent on the opposite side of the net.
Yeah, it's been tough. We've had some tough conditions with 42 degrees and stuff, and raining yesterday, but we've all been toughing it out. It's been really good competition, actually.
And with up to 300 athletes and their families in town for a week, the injection into the local economy is welcomed after a tough holiday period.
Lots of people tell us it's their first time they've ever been here because of the event, but saying they certainly intend to come back and holiday, which is great too.
The women's final was all New South Wales and it came down to the wire. Steffi Fayesh and Jessie Mann taking the gold medal in 3 sets. The WA boys can add a win at Thompson's Beach to their resume. Corbin Phillips and Tom Dempsey taking the men's title from their Queensland opponents 2 sets to love. Joe Wilkie, Win News.
Teams across Gippsland will compete in round 4 of the Country Basketball League's revised season on Saturday. The Lakes Entrance Pelicans will take on the Corumburra Wildcats in Lakes Entrance, while the Warragul Warriors will host the Churchill Blue Devils. And the Maffra Eagles hope to continue their winning streak, taking on the Moe Meteors at the Maffra Sporting Complex. In another day of great tennis at Bendigo's UTR Pro Tour, Sydney's Alexandra Osborne cruised through her 2-set match against Brisbane's Zara Lark. After taking a year off due to injury, Osborne now has her sights on the upcoming WTA Tours.
Alexandra Osborne showed no sign of injury in one of her first tournaments back after battling what she jokes were little issues.
I had surgery on my back and have a hip issue, so yeah, a few little injuries going on, but I'm just managing them as best as I can.
Taking on Zara Lark, she opened her account winning the first set 6-4. Breaking serve, she took the lead 2-love in the second set. Her consistency wearing down Lark as the set went on. With 2 match points up her sleeve, Osborne stayed on top at the baseline, forcing Lark's backhand. Then approaching the net, she put away a smash, closing out the second set 6-1 and taking the match. Boosted by her win, she's excited to be back playing.
Getting out there, getting some matches under my belt, gaining some confidence and trying to get into some WTAs obviously in the next few weeks.
In men's matches, 26-year-old Jai Corbett won the first set against 20-year-old Ken Kavrak 6-2. Breaking serve, Corbett took an early lead in the second set, closing the set 7-5 and winning the match. While Bryden Klein took on Alex Bolte in one of the day's most intriguing encounters. Klein edged out Bolte in 2 sets, 7-6, 6-1. Grace Aiken, Win News.
And Bruce, that's our Wednesday in sport.
Lovely, Steph. Thank you very much for that. Where the details are next, and tomorrow is looking pretty much like today. More details in just a moment. And it was another cool one across the region, and a strong wind warning is in place for tonight, so please take care. Traralgon record wind gusts of up to 56 k's an hour today. 10 to 24 was the stretch, also 24 the maximum for Leongatha. Winds were very strong at the Proms, 78 kilometres an hour, and that was the windiest place to be in the state today. Also plenty of rain. Bullenwall collected 32 mils, 21 mils at Orbost. Mallacoota saw a top of 22 degrees. On the charts, a high pressure system to our south is moving east, while a low pressure trough deepens over inland Australia. That high will settle while the deepening trough will extend into western Victoria and cross the state on Friday. On the waters tomorrow, a strong wind warning is in place for the Gippsland lakes. High tide will be at 9:20 and those winds will get up to 30 knots. On the land, though, humid and cloudy with a medium chance of showers about the ranges and strong winds, and stone fruit growers being warm is conducive towards brown rot. Leongatha up to 25 tomorrow. Sale range between 16 and 23. Omea up to 23. Orbost and seeing top of 23. Mallacoota 19 degrees. For Traralgon tonight, dipping down to 15 degrees. 24 tomorrow with some cloudy conditions. Similar for Melbourne, but also some showers about. Locally, though, in the days ahead, Friday will be humid with showers. Saturday, very similar and a few storms about. Then Sunday, partly cloudy with a slight chance of showers. And thanks for your company this Wednesday, January 27. That is how we saw your news across Gippsland. Now, to find out what role you can play to help secure the future of local media, please visit saveourvoices.com.au. Thanks again for your company. See you tomorrow at 6.
This has been a Win News presentation. Win News, Regional Australia's #1 news source.